winning and doing well is really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're like,
Absolutely.
Like, you jump up on the finish line, you're like one of the first guys there. Like that high is like amazing, and that's like we keep coming back for, right?
Oh, I always think I'm an athlete. Like I always think I'm athletic, and then I watch you guys do your thing, and I'm like, oh, like I can't even do a muscle up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You just keep surprising yourself, and then it just proves to yourself that like you can do it every single time. You don't want to, but you can.
having that in your title, 8th Fittest Man on Earth, do you have a t-shirt with that on it? Like, do you kind of like go around announcing that?
It's a crazy time. I'm like putting fun first before anything. Like, if I'm not having fun, then like, why am I doing it? No, that's a sick question. It sort of gave me chills a little bit. I'd just say like we did it and we're still going.
All right. Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Under the Surface, Pumps by Reebok. I'm your host, Anneli Maley, and today we have Jay Kraut, CrossFit legend, on the potty with us today. 8th Fittest Man on Earth. That's a pretty big title, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's cool to be here. Thanks for having me.
So having that in your title, 8th Fittest Man on Earth, do you have a t-shirt with that on it? Like, do you kind of like go around announcing that? Like,
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like it's a result that I've wanted for like a long time now, so it's cool to finally do this year. But no, like the t-shirts come when you get on the podium. Still aim for that for sure.
You should get one of them t-shirts where the 8th, the number can be taken on and put off as you go up in numbers. You can keep putting a new number on, 7th, 6th, 5th, number 1. Anyway, I digress. Is today an off day for you, or are you training today?
I'm actually going to be starting back today. So I've had 2 weeks off since the games completely, which was nice. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into it for sure.
When you take time off, how often is it, one, that you actually get to take like a concentrated period of time off? And then what does your off time actually look like?
Yeah, it's usually after the game. So how the sort of season works is it sort of starts online, the qualifiers, with like almost everyone like in a community aspect. So I think there's like 200 or 300 people that sign up in the beginning, and it sort of just like chops down from there, where it ends up being top 30 in Australia go to a comp, and top 3 from there go to the games. So it's a decent season. So we're sort of on for like the 7 or 8 months, and then it's nice to like completely walk away from it for a bit, and then get back into it for the off-season stuff. But I mean, yeah, like I normally would go away, but this time's been good just to come home, and like I've literally done like nothing, like just sort of enjoying being around my dog and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, off times, like I try to keep it off for sure.
Yeah. The important question, what type of dog do you have?
I got a German short-haired pointer.
Oh, I love JSP.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
It's such good quality. Does he come to the gym with you?
Sometimes, not all the time, but we're training more from home now because we got a good home gym setup. So he's always there making a mess.
Nice. So when you say you do absolutely nothing, is that still like you're going in and doing some sort of recovery and stuff like that, or you're like, nah, I'm out of the gym, I'm out of work mode, I'm at home watching Netflix?
Exactly, yeah. Especially this last 2 weeks after the games, like, it's nothing. It's tempting to go in and get like a sweat on because it's like always good, like going to the gym makes you feel better, for sure. But yeah, it is like, I'm just a big like UFC guy, so I'm on YouTube just watching all that sort of stuff.
Do you reckon you'd ever get into the UFC stuff?
Oh, I'd love to do it, like the training side of it, but I could never do it like myself. Like getting hit and being like, do it. It's like being hit doing a workout. Like it's so hard. Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah. No, me neither. I have this like in my head every time I watch. I'm like, yeah, I could maybe hit some people, and then I think about like someone maybe jabbing at me, and I just like run away. I'd be like,
100%. Yeah, but like like all the like jiu-jitsu and all that sort of stuff interests me. So I think I'll do that probably after CrossFit.
Dope. That's super cool. So just for the people that don't know, like in terms of CrossFit and your training and stuff like that, when you're in season, say you're kind of leading up to an event or something like that, what does your training schedule kind of look like? So you are a full-time athlete, you are training full-time, like paint that out for us. What is that? What is the day in the life of Jay Kraut?
Yeah, I mean, so the last 2 months before the games, the volume ramps up because the games is a whole different beast in itself compared to the competitions that were done before. Like it's, it could be over a week with like 13 events. So the volume's really high. So training days are long, like, especially yeah, leading up, like we're usually probably training from 9:30 till 5 o'clock probably most days. Like, and that's not training the whole day. Like that's just getting through what we got to do, resting to hit the next piece, eating. So yeah, like it's pretty like it's a full-time job, right? So yeah, it gets pretty hectic.
And when you do your training, you are training with a team of people. Like you're able to have, because I imagine like if you were doing this heavy load of training, it was just you in a gym, that would be like,
tough.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough. But you have a team of people around you that are doing a similar thing.
For sure. Like there's always like the boys, all my mates around me who are interested in it as well. And my girlfriend, like she's like pretty high up as well in the CrossFit space. So she's always there doing exactly what I'm doing, which makes it easier.
Yeah. Okay. And then do you structure your own training plan?
No, I don't. No, I follow Proven. So that's Tia Claire Toomey. She's like a 6-time CrossFit Games champion from Australia. So I'm on her program now with her team. But prior to that, I'd been on just another games athlete space from Frankston, Rob Forte. I was following his program, and he sort of coached me up until this year, and then I jumped on Proven. So.
Okay, and so before we digress into what you were like as a kid, my last question in this space is like, from everything that I've read and kind of, I mean, I've followed a little bit of it throughout the years. I love watching the games because I always turn it on. I'm like, oh, I always think I'm an athlete. Like, I always think I'm athletic. And then I watch you guys do your thing and I'm like, oh, like I can't even do a muscle up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's kind of, my understanding, it's really hard to crack into that top 30 and even get to go to the games. Like it's a pretty tight-knit group of people and a lot of the same people go every year. Yeah. How did you crack into that rotation of people? Because it says that like you're top 2 in Australia and Oceania the last few years.
Yeah.
That's the last few years. Like, as that rotation of people, like, how do you crack into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, well, I started CrossFit when I was 13, and then it sort of got a bit more serious for me when I started watching the games as a young guy, and I was like, always had, I always had the dream of making the games, and I knew I always could. It's just going to be a matter of time of like putting in hard work over the years. So I think like the way CrossFit's going now, if you're not doing CrossFit from a young age, I don't think like you're gonna ever. Well, some people are different, but it's a combination of hard work and just believing that you can do it for sure. Like I think you do definitely gotta have it. Like you see guys in the gym now and then that are just like that want to be there and all that sort of thing. But you gotta like want to hurt and sort of like push that next level and then once you master that, like it's a confidence for sure. Like confidence in yourself, 100%. Like and here we are.
Damn, that's wild. Okay, we'll get back into that. I want to scale it back a little bit. I want to ask you, like, what you were like as a kid. Like, how would people describe young Jay Crouch? Like, what would people say about you in school, your peers, your family?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think it was nice to be around me as a kid for sure. But like I was always like into riding bikes. I raced dirt bikes for a little bit. Like most of the time, me and my brother after school would like get out on a trampoline. We'd like love doing flips, all that sort of stuff. Like we were all like pretty active and did like most sports. Like we sort of got exposed to everything. So like I'd say active for sure.
And it's just the one sibling?
Yeah, just a younger brother. He's 2 years younger.
Were you guys super competitive? Like when you guys did sports against each other and stuff?
For sure, yeah, for sure. And like always, just like what brothers are, always like sort of getting at each other, fighting, all that sort of stuff. But no, we're really good mates now.
And so what were you like in school? Like, were you one of those kids that was signed up for like every single sport so you didn't have to actually go? Because that was me.
Yeah. So similar for sure, but I was a good kid. I followed the rules. So
I wonder if there's some sort of correlation between that and CrossFit because you have to follow.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was chill. I was too scared to do anything wrong.
Yeah. And whereabouts did you grow up?
So I grew up in Langwarrin, so it's like near Frankston.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when did you first start like getting into CrossFit? You mentioned you were 13, but like I imagine you didn't just wake up one day and you're like, CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like, how did you see an ad? Did you see something on TV? Like, how did that become something that you're like, oh, I want to go to this CrossFit gym? And do you remember what gym it was?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So Dad was doing it. He found it like just for fitness. And he was doing it for about a year. And like I was sort of going through like this phase in high school. I was still active. I think it's like just growing up. I was got like a bit chubby.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, oh, you want to come down to CrossFit? And I heard him speaking about it. I was like, yeah, I'd love to give it a go. And sort of like at that age, you're like, do you go to like a gym or you know what I mean? So I was like keen because it was sort of like a gym. Like, I didn't really know what it was. And yeah, like from there, I just like loved it. Like loved being around it and just learning new things and just like realizing that you could never like really master it. There's always something that you can think that you get better at. So it never got boring for me. And at that young age, I was like, what you were just saying before, I was inspired to like get a muscle up. That's a big thing like you do in CrossFit. Like once you get a muscle up, like it's like sick. It's awesome. It's fun to do. So yeah, like Dad got me into it and never looked back from there.
So your first experience at a CrossFit gym, like I don't know what it's like now, but I imagine you would have been one of the only young people at that gym.
Yep.
So what was that like? Was it a welcoming experience? Like it was like everyone was kind of happy to have you on board, or were you like, I'm young and tiny? Like, what was that like, if you can remember?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I think I always like people would see me lifting weights and then be like, the old thing like, oh, that's got to be bad for like you growing and all that sort of thing, like all that talk. I remember that like a little bit, but yeah, I was between me and my brother, like we were definitely the youngest in the gym for a long time.
Okay.
And, you didn't really see it until CrossFit brought in like the teenage divisions. Yeah. That's sort of when it started to be like, oh, you see a younger kid come in, you're like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your brother went with you. It was like a family affair.
He probably started, it was definitely a family affair, but he probably started maybe a few months after because I remember I did like the intro class with my mum.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
So your whole family ended up going to that one?
Yeah, we were there for, I'd say 2 or 3 years altogether for sure.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So when you were still kind of like in your early teens going to CrossFit, did you notice your body starting to change first, or was it your ability that you noticed?
Yeah, definitely more my ability. Yeah. Because I've always sort of been like shorter. Yeah. So I didn't notice too much change to my body, but yeah, just like I honestly didn't even really care what my body was doing. Like, I was just more pumped to learn new movements.
Yeah, because it is a skill. I think that some people, they don't realize that like it would be like going to any other sport. You have to learn the skill in order to do the movement, right? 100%. Like I think about like everyone that's fast probably being like, oh, I can run fast. I'm sure I could play soccer. Like it's not like that. Yeah. You can't just show up because you're an athlete and be able to do these movements.
Exactly.
So while you're going through your teenage years, which are, formative for everybody, and you're doing CrossFit, you're loving it, what were your hobbies like outside of CrossFit, or is that stage in your life like that was everything?
I was still playing like AFL footy till I was like 15. Mm-hmm. I was still riding motorbikes, mountain bikes, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I can only remember really just playing AFL footy at the time, which I think like CrossFit was helping me with fitness for that. And then as like the teenage division started to come in, that's when I like slowly switched into like sold the motorbike, no more AFL, and then I was just all in with that.
What age, or like, do you remember when your first competition was that you competed in?
It was just like a local, like more of like a local comp. I think it was probably the Open, which is still around today, which is the start to qualify for the game. So and that was when the teenage division wasn't a thing. So I was doing like the male weights as like a 14-year-old kid. Wow. And like just trying to grind through it and wasn't even like finishing where I was like there'd be something like a weight, if it was a weight on a barbell, maybe I'd be lucky to get like 1 rep, like say it was like 40 reps or something.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely then.
So for a lot of people, that would be enough to like stop them, right? At that age, especially like you're in a competition, you're watching all these people being able to do something and you can't do it.
Yeah.
What was your mindset to be like, oh, I'll be able to do it one day, or to not feel like at that point you just were never going to get there? Like, what were you thinking about in those moments?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just knew I was a kid. So I was like, if I can get like a couple reps out of this, like people are going to be like pretty, well, they were like, everyone gets around you anyway, like the CrossFit space. But like, yeah, if I was going to get like a couple reps out of that, I was happy. Like, I didn't have no expectations at the time. But yeah, and I just like knew I was a kid. So I was like, if I keep going, I'm going to like get stronger and stuff. And I'm going to be where I am. So yeah.
Did you have a mentor that kind of helped you out in that space, or
not as like a young teenage kid at this point, but yeah, definitely as I was like 16, 17, yeah, for sure.
So the more that you're doing this stuff and the more that you're competing, and now you've been around it for a couple of years, do you remember your first, like, if you ever had one, like a roadblock, like where you hit a hump or hit a wall and you're like, how do I get through this?
Yeah, I mean, not one that I can like really like pinpoint for sure. Like I've had like a pretty, like, as maybe I was losing motivation, I sort of like had like a bit of an environment change, and the motivation was straight back, like the people that I was around. Like I think if I had to put on anything, it would be maybe in the teenage division, it's like they take the top 10 to the games, and I come like 17.
Yeah.
So like just missing out there, I was probably like, like whatever. And then that's when I joined CrossFit Frankston with Rob Forte's gym, and all the people there are like very good. And that was sort of the turning point for me, where I transitioned from like, because even today, like the boys in the teenage division, it's a much harder jump for them to the male division, just because of obviously the stage that they're at, with strength numbers and all that sort of stuff. Like a 17-year-old boy to like a 25-year-old guy, you know what I mean? So it's harder for them to jump. Where on the girls' side, it's proven there's been a lot of girls that have made that transition straight away. But I think from the 17-year-old division to the man is a big jump. So in between, for me, I was on a CrossFit Games team. So that's like the teams of 4. So I was on that for 2 years, and that was where I found like that was for me to like grow and experience the games, and that's what I sort of like would tribute the most for keeping me in it. For sure, just like bridging that gap of making the transition. So it's cool.
Do you think that like being in that team environment, like I imagine that without that team kind of around you, it would have been hard to kind of take a step forward. So what would your advice be for people who are bridging that gap between those divisions or those age groups? I'd
say like just having like good team around you for sure. But and then if there's like a team, if there's a team that's like an option for them, definitely take it. But yeah, it's hard. Like I'd just say like even just trying to qualify for some off-season comps to try and just get experience with those higher level guys. But it's hard for the guys, for the boys, for sure.
So you mentioned motivation, and I want to ask you a little bit about that. Like, where did you find your motivation at that age compared to now? And like, what is that for you?
At that age, I would say the motivation was just like, I wanted to be an individual games athlete. So that sort of like was always there, which is crazy to look back on for sure. Like over the years as such a young kid, just having that dream of being there individually. Now I've sort of gone through a phase where it was always, just to get to the games. Like I'd be at the Australian level comp and be happy with the end goal of just making it. And then after doing that for 2 years, now I was like, that's a lot more. More. So, the motivation now is just to win the CrossFit Games, and that's it.
When, like, is there a line, and, you know, for every athlete, it's different, where motivation and discipline kind of coincide? So do you find that, like, the discipline in your routine and all that stuff, does that drive your motivation or vice versa?
I feel like not discipline, because like I feel like if you like discipline yourself too hard and then take it all too serious, and that like it all falls apart. So like I mean like I'm disciplined in the way of like what my goal is, and but along sort of the journey, I'm like putting fun first before anything. Like if I'm not having fun, then like why am I doing it? You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe that's where like my motivation is. I'm having fun every day, enjoying what I'm doing, and then I also know like what goal I want. So that's sort of Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So goal setting is a thing for you, right?
sure, yeah.
Do you like reset after each competition to create new goals? And this would apply to athletes, not just in CrossFit, but basketball, football, any sort of athletics, where post an event, how do you then restructure your goals? Like how does that look for you?
I mean, not like officially, like I don't like write something in my phone, like this is my goal. And like I've found along the years too of having like expectations of where you're gonna finish isn't a good thing either for me. Because then when it looks like it's not gonna go that way, then you sort of just fall in a hole. In competition, I should say. But yeah. Sorry, I've lost the question.
Goal setting.
Goal
for you. How do you?
Yeah. I mean, after. It's sort of more, after comps, like where you finish, you're like, okay, that's possible. So that, and especially like getting my best finish this year and being where I wanted to be now in my mind, it only gives me confidence and the goal changes of like, I can actually do it.
So, okay, I've got some more questions around like motivation and confidence and goal setting and all this stuff. So well, you mentioned confidence, and especially in a sport where like you're moving weight and you're like doing all these really specific movements and stuff. How does confidence come into play with you being able to complete reps of things? Like if you're absolutely cooked, you're so exhausted, like what is the mindset to like push through that and be able to technically like complete things in the right form so you don't injure yourself?
For sure. It is crazy. Like it's all self-talk. Like it's 100% what's between the ears. Like at the games, everyone's so fit, right? But I feel like the guys that are winning is what's between the ears, and that's something that someone told me in the lead up to the thing. Like you just need to realize that you're a big fish, basically. And like I mean, to push further and not hurt yourself, like it's hard. Like you're only capable of what you're capable of too. But there's definitely. At the games, there's just a fine line of like, it's how much do you want it? For sure.
So, okay, that's a good segue. So you spend so much time training your body. How much time do you spend training your mind? And that piece of what you do, how important is that? And I guess when did you figure out that like that is a huge piece, I guess? I mean, like early days I was training my mind work with a guy who was like, sort of did like a bit of hypnotherapy and all that sort of stuff. But for the last year or so, I feel like the mind sort of like trained in the gym too. Like in those situations where you don't want to go like for that extra rep or whatever. Like you just got to. That'd be my answer to that is like, you just sort of, you're learning in the gym mentally too, for sure. So self-talk is a big thing for a lot of athletes. For me, sometimes I can talk myself out of doing stuff in a game, or like I'm standing at the free throw line and as soon as I think don't miss it, I'm going to miss it. So like that piece, that mindset piece, kind of explain if you could, like for a younger version of yourself, what are you saying to yourself as you're reaching your max? Like what's happening in there?
I mean, I'm the same. Like I'd love to put the bar down or that sort of thing. But it's like, it's just like over the last couple of years, like you think you can't, say push the sled to the line or whatever. And then you go and you keep doing it. You just keep surprising yourself, and then it just proves to yourself that like you can do it every single time. You don't want to, but you can.
Explain that joy though, because like you were talking about fun, right? And like I recently had an experience where I was playing basketball over in China, and it was like 48 degrees. We were playing outside, 100% humidity, and for a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, that's the worst." But that was so much fun because I reached my new max of like, I thought that I couldn't give any more, and then I was like, I can, like. So explain what that like, because I explain it as like it's euphoric to think that you've bottomed out and to realize that there's more to give.
For sure.
Is that your joy? Is that what you're talking about in the joy?
100%. Yeah, just like the feeling of accomplishment, and like when if you jump up on the finish line, you're like one of the first guys there. Like that high is like amazing, and that's like what we keep coming back for, right? The sort of more the fun that I was talking about, like in the gym is like I enjoy doing like all these workouts like in the moment, and like I try to find that every day. In competition, 100%, I can agree more. Like it's finishing and just being like, that was sick. Like, you're nervous as hell going out there at the time, but once you finish, you're like, that was mad.
Yeah. So like the process, right? Like, you know, the whole trust the process and finding joy in the everyday, because you don't wake up every day to a competition. You don't wake up every day to, you know, that super high. So your joy, you find that every day in your training sessions.
Yeah, exactly. Like just the joy in the process. So like specifically like being around good people, enjoying like the social side of it for sure. And just like the goal's the goal, so you just work towards that.
So like when you're working out like your everyday stuff and then comparing it to like competing in front of a crowd, does that play in your mind at all, like that you're in front of a crowd of people, or?
Like you always have the thought when you sort of getting corralled, waiting to go out, you're like, should I actually be fit enough like to go out there? You don't want to make a fool of yourself. Like that's all those thoughts are in the back of your mind. Like, but it's like once you go out there, you like most of the time you just go numb, the adrenaline's up, so it's a crazy time. So compared to the gym, like every day, like it's like whenever competitions come around, like you're always excited for that. Like it's a show. So
okay, so I guess like this is all consuming for a lot of the time. How do you, when you leave the gym and leave training, how do you leave it there? Because the hard thing about being a professional athlete is like we do so much training, we're there all day. When you go home, you still have to recover and eat well and kind of take care of those 1%ers. So you never really get the chance to fully turn off sometimes. How do you turn your mind off from the sport?
No, that's a good question. And like I think the hardest part for me is like when I like sort of the turning off process is like not talking about it too. And like being with, like I still live with mum and dad at the moment. And they like love the sports. And like they like, and they're so supportive. Like they're the best. But I have to like I have to like turn them off sometimes. Like, I don't want like, and they sort of get a little bit angry. I don't want to talk about it, but so not talking about it when I don't want to, because that's like that's draining. But just doing what I need to do, like stretch of a night, eat and stuff, and then I just try to get into bed as early as I can and start watching UFC.
Nice. That's a good answer. Because like it is all consuming sometimes, like especially because being a performance athlete, like you do have to worry about like what you put in your body too.
For sure.
Were you always like super, I guess, on top of your nutrition as well, or that was a piece that like kind of came in later?
Yeah, I mean, even now, like what I'm eating, it's not great. Like it's more like I'm just trying to get in as much
as you can.
The volume that I'm doing. A lot of people like are shocked, like up to like the Tyrian Pro, which is the semi-final in Australia. That's where we compete to go to the games. I was like just smashing 2-minute noodles. And everyone's like, what is this guy eating? So like I'm still feel like a child with what I eat. I just try to eat a lot.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with 2-minute noodles. That is a great recovery meal. Everyone loves a bit of 2-minute noodles.
That's it.
So I digress off like nutrition and stuff. I know that that's like a hard part of fitness, but do you find it hard like staying fit year round? Like what's the most difficult part of staying, I say fit as a loose term, because fit for like a regular person is like, can they go for a run? Fit for you and I is like high performance fit.
For sure.
So do you find it, like what is the most difficult part, I guess, of staying fit year round?
I don't know. Like I feel like the point that I'm at now is like I just sort of I saw like I'm best with routine. Like I feel better, like mentally, like I'm having more fun when I'm doing it. I know we touched on that a lot. But, I don't find it hard. Like I feel like there's a few off-season comps now that I can just sort of like flick my focus to, even if that's not competing as an individual. Like for a lot of them now are for fun in like a 3-person team with other high-level boys. So that's always cool to get around. yeah, I haven't like thought too much into that because I've been, I suppose, fit all year round for a long time now, so it's becoming.
You enjoy what you do. Yeah, I get
exactly. That. So it comes pretty easy.
Yeah, no, I get that. People listening will be like, of course it comes easy. Ridiculous. Yeah. So what would your advice be to like, first to kids that are just like maybe thinking, look, I really want to get into CrossFit. I'm not really sure how to start. Yeah. What's your advice there?
Oh man, this is going to sound repetitive, but like, fun has honestly just been such a big word for me over the years. Like, yeah, like just try to find the fun in it. Find some good friends in the space that are going to make you want to keep going back to the gym, like, and seeing them sort of. For me, it was after school. Then it was after like work. I'm an electrician, so I was doing my apprenticeship. And I'd say like just going back and talking shit with the boys is really what kept me going the most. So I'd say just find some good friends and have fun in the process, and then that will come.
So, and then also like throughout your career, like you still like, it's hard to say like your career so far because like you still have so much left. You know what I mean? Like you're so young. So, so what so far has been A, the biggest achievement, and B, the hardest obstacle to overcome?
Biggest achievement is 8th at the games. Yeah, for sure.
8th Fittest in the world.
Sick. Yeah. And biggest hurdle. As I was saying before, like I haven't had nothing too bad. I've been pretty lucky with injuries. I just feel like I've been smart and found like less is more sometimes. So when I'm not feeling the greatest, like I'm happy to just step back and not feel bad for not doing a certain piece for the day.
Okay, so this last question before we get into our rapid fire ones is like, do you compare yourself to other athletes?
I mean, I wouldn't say like a certain athlete, but I mean, you see stuff on Instagram and you're just like, oh, they got look good. Like it's hard, hype them up in your mind. Like, are you doing like what they're doing or as good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, like, not. I mean, I can switch that off pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, and just again, I got like a lot of confidence now, so I trust what I'm doing and back myself.
It's like the trust in yourself and being able to back yourself that can completely change the way that you perceive certain situations, right? It's like 100%. When you're in a situation where you feel like you can trust the work that you've put in and what you do, that can kind of apply to more things outside of sport and being an athlete. Like if you put in the work in school, you can trust your outcome. Like it's kind of the same. Did you feel like that piece that you learned through CrossFit has applied to your outside life as well?
Yeah, I feel definitely, because then like I sort of don't even like to waste energy on like thinking things like that too. We were just saying about. So for the most part, but again, I just feel like I can just get so locked into what I'm doing, and all the outside stuff I just leave alone.
So moving forward, right, like we talked about goals. Is there like some goal that you think once you'll reach, you'll be like, yeah, and I reckon I'm done with CrossFit now? Or do you think that because the sport's so evolving and ever changing and there's always new obstacles, that you'll never really lose that, like there's always more to do?
Yeah. It's a good question for sure, because when you're not like getting the results you want, it is hard to keep going. But yeah, like this year especially made me realize like winning and doing well is really fun.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you like
absolutely. To
win the CrossFit Games is obviously something that I want to do for sure.
Yeah.
So I think once I do that, I feel like it will be maybe it'll feel like I'm done. But I feel like winning's fun, so it'll always make you want to come back for more, and that's why it's impressive, the guys that have backed it up year after year.
Love that. That's a good answer. So these are questions that have been sent in by people. It's the rapid fire by Reebok fan questions. When I say it, I always want to be like, rapid fire, rapid fire by Reebok.
A couple of buttons.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so what really drives you as an athlete? Like you kind of answered this one. I guess fun would be the answer to that.
Fun for sure, and winning.
Fun and winning. Yeah. Fun and winning drives you as an athlete. What's the mantra you live by, if you have one?
Live by. Yeah, I don't really have one off the top of my head, but I mean, again, watching like all the UFC fighters and stuff, like they always have good things to say, like just the confidence that they bring. So I just listen to those guys to keep me going.
Yeah. Who's your favorite UFC fighter?
I love Israel Adesanya. He's really good. And Sean O'Malley, who just won yesterday.
Yeah, nice.
Sure. I love Volk as well.
Yeah. Do you have any idols that you looked up to in the CrossFit space? And are you your own idol? Sorry.
Oh, no. I couldn't say that. But, I mean, a lot of the guys now who I'm competing against for sure, I always looked up to them. So it was cool to be around the guys like the Noah Olsons and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. Just like now I take it for granted because they're like my competitors.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, like as a young kid, like Rob Forte as well, like, and then joining his gym, I was, definitely a fanboy for sure. Those are sort of the ones I could remember.
That's actually super cool. I know I experienced that a little bit. Like growing up, I always watched Lauren Jackson play, and then I got to play on the same team as her.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a day that went past that I wasn't like, oh my God. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also a cool thing, like for the young kids listening to you, like who knows, like they might be competing against you one day.
100%.
Like that's pretty dope. At the gym that you're at now, sorry, I'm going off topic, but at the gym that you're at now, is there young kids there as well?
Yeah. And that's what I try to realize too, like seeing like young kids in the crowd, like as I'm walking past, I try to give them as much attention as I can too, because I was like, I just remember being that.
Yeah.
And it's so cool, and like an athlete gives you the attention that you look up to for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes that can be, the thing that like really helps people stick with it. Like I had so many experiences with some incredible athletes over the years that like they didn't know that I needed in those moments. So it's cool that you're able to like recognize that maybe someone needs that from you.
100%, yeah. And like, I mean, this is like I don't know if a lot of people will know, but like OG CrossFitters will, like Chad McKay back in the day, one of the first regionals that I went to as a spectator when I was a young kid. Like I remember like seeing him in the crowd, like about to come out, and I like sort of gave him the thumbs up, and he like waved back at me. I was like, dang, that's
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so that's like one of the first ones I remember in my mind as a kid.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So these kind of questions are a little bit about like your routine and stuff. It says, I've heard stories of CrossFitters having super strict routines, things like setting an alarm every time you need to eat. Do you do things like this as well? Could you provide examples?
Yeah, no, I'm the worst. I just try to care less, take things less serious, and I'm super chill with it.
Do you think that that's like a big part of longevity in the field that you're in, is to like, otherwise, athletes can experience burnout if they're too...
Oh, yeah, and you see it all the time. Like, I see it all the time. But yeah, like everyone's different too. Like some people probably like are really like there is guys in the space that are like locked in with everything, and they're very good. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like taking it overly serious is bad.
Yeah, I like that. And then this one asks about like any sort of, so this is a little bit about like the 1%ers, like supplements, protein, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. What are your go-to supplements and things during competition and then in your lead up to?
Yeah, most of the time, like for cramps and stuff, I'm like having salts, lots of salts. Like
not the pickle juice?
No, I was on pickle juice earlier, but I found like that wasn't really working that well for me.
It tastes so bad.
Yeah. But no, I was on the salts, like it's like a mix of like a lot of sodium and magnesium in it. So they were working well, especially because we were in the before the games this year, went to Nashville. It was really hot, so you're sweating.
Yeah.
And then True Protein being like a long sponsor for me, so I just have their post blend. It's just got like everything in it. It's just, again, like the lazy thing. It's just like ready to go. So.
One hit, get it all in.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, it's that.
Yeah. So then kind of on top of that, like recovery wise, do you have any like holy grails in that space? Like it doesn't have to be food and stuff. It can be.
Yeah. I got a sauna. Yeah. And I'm like in most of the night, I find helps a lot with my sleep. Like when I don't do it, I notice it, which is just cool. Because I'm like a big thing on like, if I don't notice the difference, like, I'm not doing it. Yeah. And like people are like, oh, I'm doing this, that, or whatever. But yeah, if I don't notice like a difference, then I won't do it. But yeah, sauna definitely. Ice bath I found a lot when it's like when you're in hot weather competing, especially this year. I was like, that helps. Like just brings everything down straight away. That's pretty much it. Like I tried recovery boots and all that sort of thing, but again, I don't know. It's a massive difference, so I'm not going to preach about that stuff.
Have you ever tried any of the Wim Hof stuff?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, I'm trying very hard to get into it, but I'm terrible in cold water. I'm really
Right.
bad. So even though, like, you know, that's, you think as like a high performance athlete, like ice baths, like you need to do it. Sometimes I get in and I'm like, my coach will be looking at, like my strength coach will be like, stay in. I'll be like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Are you based in Melbourne?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's better.
Yeah, no, I know, exactly. I went to a recovery center last night, actually just one out in Eltham. And I went in and I was talking to this guy about the plunge pool. And I was like, hey, I'll get in the plunge pool. He's like, yeah, I've set it to really low. I've set it to like 3 degrees. I was like, can you bring it up to like 11? Maybe 12? 3 is super low. And it took me like a solid 15 minutes to get like one toe in.
And that's
like one toe, two toe.
Ice baths too is like my toes.
Yes, right. I feel like I'm the only one that experiences that. It's like the feet.
Feet,
I could probably do it if it was just my knees and back.
Yeah.
But then saying that, I probably couldn't.
Yeah.
I probably couldn't. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So tell us something that most people wouldn't know about you and wouldn't expect.
Most people wouldn't know that I'm an electrician for sure. I feel like people found it like, because one of the first years I qualified for the games, I was like the last year of my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I was like working full time. So like, yeah, most people like shocked to hear that like I still sort of do jobs here and there.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but like sort of the start of the year, I was still like working a little bit for myself. So
do you think that kind of maybe played a role in your success slightly, being able to have something else outside of CrossFit?
Yeah, it was a big thing for sure. Because like early on, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, once I finished my apprenticeship, I just dropped it and went full into CrossFit. And like that was, it was sort of like a bit of a stale taste in my mouth. It just felt like a chore. So maybe I could have answered that on a few questions back.
No.
But yeah, for sure, just like walking away from it and knowing you got something. If your plan with it doesn't, if it doesn't go to plan, you got someone to fall back on.
Yeah. So I mean, so my partner also plays basketball.
Yeah.
Having a partner that does the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
How do you guys get competitive with each other? Like,
like it's a question we get a lot too. We don't like, it's all we're in like, we're not competing against each other like at competitions and stuff. So like it's all friendly for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's still competition for sure. But if like one of us beats each other, we're not gonna like hang shit. You know what I mean?
I can't say that. I ain't saying shit.
It's I mean, there's friendly banter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's really good. Like obviously she understands what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And especially like through the games and stuff, she had my coach's pass. So like she was she was the best. She did everything for me.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is nice having someone that you don't have to explain like the ins and outs of what you're feeling, because they just naturally get it, because that's what they do.
They've been through it, yeah.
Now, like mine's more physical contact, so we can beat each other up. Yeah. So you know, so it's slightly different there.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like a support system now, how important is it for you to have people around you that motivate you, and then also like don't enable some like not poor behavior, I guess the word is that I'm looking for, like those enablers in your life that don't push you to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
What's the importance for you to be surrounded by people who kind of always lift you up or always challenge you, I guess, lack of a better word.
Yeah, no, it's a big thing. And like, you try to cut that out. Like, I had good schoolmates, but like what they're doing is like different to what I'm doing now. So I have to like say no to all their stuff that when they go out drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah, all fun stuff.
But yeah, like just again having good people around you to enjoy the process. Like what I was saying before, like having the boys around to talk a bit of shit with through the fitness and all that sort of the pain. But yeah, like the goal too, being so normal to me now to do the best that I can at the games. Like it's just coming easy, and it's just normal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So the last question here is like through like media stuff and kids watching you, perform, and maybe social media and all this stuff, how do you think people see you versus who you actually are? And is there a separate or a distance between those two things? Or do you think you're like, no, I think people see me for who I am?
I'd like to think people see me for who I am, for sure. Like, I feel like I'm pretty. If someone approaches me, I'm not just gonna shove them off.
Yeah.
And like, I'm always happy to talk to anyone. But yeah, Instagram's a weird thing sometimes.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I think actually this, I say last question, but I have a couple more. Being a CrossFit athlete and having like media around, right? Like the games is huge. And then also like there's a huge component of social media that I feel as athletes, sometimes we have to tap into to, get things like sponsorships and to be seen by certain people. How do you find managing that area of your life? Like, is it something that you just kind of put out authentically and it is who you are, or you have to like go like, oh, I got to think about actually posting today? Like how does that play into your everyday?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm sort of like my Instagram and stuff I'm using more as like that tool just to, because that's what it is now. Like you have to have followers to get like paid good money, like for the most part. But I just trust that like good performances and stuff are just going to bring that in. So yeah, like I'm just posting like, obviously there's always the stuff you got to do that are for sponsors and stuff. But yeah, like I'm posting training stuff for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is me for sure.
Yeah, that is you.
It is in the back of your mind all the time. Like you got to do this to bring in more stuff. Like
no, for sure.
Reels all the time.
I know
stuff, but again, I'm just like whatever.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And then I guess like to finish out, younger you, what would you say? This is the last thing, I promise. What would you say to your younger self? Like it's now sitting here, you're able to sit down and talk to your younger self right before you're about to embark on this journey that is CrossFit, right? Like what would you say to your younger self? And do you think that Lil J would be like, nah, piss off, you're not being serious. Like, we didn't do that, did we? Like,
yeah. No, that's a sick question. It sort of gave me chills a little bit. I'd just say, like, we did it and we're still going. That's it.
Yeah, I like it.
Because I always, like, as like that young kid, I always knew, like, I had in the back of my mind that I was always going to make it, like, to where I am now, which is cool. And as like I saw someone, I think it was Noah again who put up a post the other day. Is like, just like take a second, realize like where you are now is where you wanted to be. Yeah. And that's like, that hit home for me. And I was like, this is where I wanted to be. So it's cool.
We did it and we're still going. Yeah. We're ending on that. I really liked that. But no, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. And for me, like being able to sit down and talk to athletes that perform at like the highest level of a multitude of different sports, 100%. I learn a lot. Yeah. And it's always interesting, especially for like people listening that do other sports, to realize like we all struggle with the same stuff. We all go through a similar mindset shift, like no matter what it is, high performance, and also like pushing your body to a certain limit. For sure. There's a lot of like connection across, different sports.
It's
like
cool.
It's pretty cool.
And like just knowing other people at a high level in a different sport too. It's cool. Like, you like recognize real.
Real recognize real, right? It is cool. It is cool. I do enjoy it. But no, thanks again for coming on. I'm excited for people to listen to this. Like, I hope they get to learn a little bit more about you, about CrossFit, about mindset, about fun. I really loved that part of it, because like sometimes we do take stuff too seriously. Like fun is the pillar point of where we should kind of do everything in our life. Like you don't do it if you don't enjoy it. But
exactly.
Anyway, over and out. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
That was Under the Surface, pumped by Reebok. This is Anneli Maley, and that was Jay Crouch.
Let's go.